Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Vulgar Display of Gaming. I'm Shane.
I'm Javi.
All right, on today's episode, we want to talk about the difficulty and balance of games, whether it be fighting games, RPGs, MMOs, or just regular, how do you say, shooting games. And we have a lot of good examples in how that this trend, it's strange what they're doing now, where they're nerfing games and they're listening to people saying this game's too hard.
Yep. And it's mostly from like the casuals for sure. A lot of people have always complained that the Soul series is notoriously hard, and it's only because people just lack the patience or just to learn what or who they're fighting in that specific game.
And for example, we want to talk about something big that just happened was Liza P, how they made the game easier for everybody just
Absolutely.
because certain people didn't like it.
Yeah. So Liza P is pretty much a Dark Souls clone to the T, but everybody loved the quality that that game had. So they're willing to like let it, it being a carbon copy slide. But now I guess like it was enough. I got enough traction that even like the casuals were like, okay, this game is too hard. Um, it's just not fair. And so I guess the developers for this game listened, and apparently they made it so easy that like people are just like passing it on the very first runs.
Yeah, which is kind of ridiculous why they're doing that. It's like why change the game that much already? Especially when it's like there should be no problem with it from the get-go, but all of a sudden you want to just change it?
The whole point of the game is like you figure out how to like proceed through these levels, but all of a sudden it's just like a hassle for most people, and it just doesn't make any sense to me personally.
Yeah, I don't understand what they're trying to do and changing these games so much uh to make them easier, especially when you have a game that's set, people liked it. It's supposed to be a Dark Souls clone, supposed to just have one set of one difficulty. A lot of these games are going that way now, where there's just one difficulty setting. There's no multiple.
Yeah, and it's one thing if you're gonna go out of your way to make a game easy, then fine. At that point, then just make difficulty settings that are like alienating the people that were enjoying the game from the get go, and didn't need anything specific to get patched. Obviously, there's gonna be bugs here and there across every game that you play, but it shouldn't be enough to the point where like it makes the entire game easier.
Oh, exactly, exactly. And I don't another example is another game that just did this was Armored Core 6. I've been playing that and I had a buddy who's already beaten it. He's on New Game Plus and he was even saying where I was stuck at this boss, Baltius,
Right.
and he was just like, "Oh, dude, they nerfed him." I'm like, "What do you mean they nerfed him?" He's like, "I was like, this is hard as hell." But now he's just like, yeah, they nerfed him, so you have the easier setting now. I'm like, what do you mean easier setting? This is still ridiculous. And they just nerfed even more stuff. So they decreased the shotgun attack on the Zimmerman. Uh, Songbirds, their decreased attack power and everything. The needle launcher, that's decreased impact. So why would they do that? I don't understand it. Um, it's just they're changing so much with this game too.
And this is pretty weird since this is the same team that does Dark Souls. This is from software.
And these are weapons now they nerfed. So they nerf bosses, and now they're nerfing some of your weapons already. And this is a great article from Polygon talking about it. OP weapons finally got nerfed. I mean, I don't think they were that OP. I don't get it, but they nerfed them. Some of the bosses, like this boss right here, Baltius, like he was an asshole. I didn't like him. But yeah, with all these missiles and everything he shoots, it's just yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Took me a while, and I'm still stuck on him.
But in your eyes, it was something that was like doable. You just needed the
Well,
time.
I'm still on him,
Right.
but the fact is, I guess a lot of people got stuck on him, so they changed it and they nerfed him and they made him easier. So there was that as well. I mean, there's RPG games they're nerfing. There's action combat games like that they're nerfing. There was big things in even fighting games. Like this is another controversy coming up where you have more of a take on this than I do.
Right.
But for Grand Blue Rising, that's coming out in November, you have skills performed using both simple and technical inputs will have the exact same properties, offering no power difference. That's weird.
Yeah. So Street Fighter 6 also has something similar to this. They have modern inputs, which is, traditional Street Fighter the way it's always meant to be played. And then we've got modern, which is now things like Shoryuken and Hadoken are like a button and a direction instead of like, down forward or back forward. It's all just one input, but there's some drawbacks to going to a mode like that. One is you lose some moves, you don't get the entire kit of a character. And then two, if you decide to do the simple inputs over the traditional inputs when you're in classic mode, uh, it does less damage. So though there was some clear drawbacks to that, but in terms of balance, it worked out. You know, but for this game, while it is pretty ballsy for them to even try something like this, it should have been like this from the very start if they were gonna do this, because now you're alienating people that put practice into this game. And the fact that like doing traditional inputs or these new modern inputs that they're putting into this game have no significant differences or drawbacks, it's kind of ridiculous. Um, so who knows how well this game will perform because of this? I'm sure it'll do probably well, but it definitely alienates a lot of people, especially people who enjoy, what makes fighting games great, and that's like putting in the work character you want to play.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. You know more about fighting games than I do, and it just sounds weird. I know Street Fighter 6 just had their modern controls updated and everything, with 6, and modern was supposed to appeal to everybody a lot more. Um and it actually was competitive too. Because somebody made it all the way to was it CEO?
It was Evo.
Evo this year they hit with modern and got third.
It was funny because everybody was like, oh, nobody's gonna be using modern controls in tournament, but it ended up being like one of these Japanese legends who ended up getting top 8 with these modern controls. But that was pretty funny to see. But the fact is that like you get to see it fruition, and yeah, how it is balanced compared to something like Grand Blue, where it's just not deciding to balance the whole classic modern takes at all.
No, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that right there. It's just it's interesting how these games are going about difficulty in general, where some games again offer one difficulty, they offer more difficulties, or when they transfer to a different system, like in the case of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze from the Wii U to the Switch, they offered an even easier mode, which was Donkey Kong Funky,
Oh
right?
yeah. There's you gotta play as Funky Kong in that game, and I get basically more extra lives to work with. The 4 that you get normally, you get 6, which is totally fine because it is fully an optional thing. It's not something that's forced upon you. So in terms of balance like that, that's totally fine because it's not like game breaking or anything. It's not gonna detract. It's not gonna alienate people that have already put time into the original, and it's gonna, got a kid that can't play these games, or a game journalist that doesn't know how to play video games.
And in my sense, I'm casual, so I like playing games on easy. I enjoy games just for the story. I don't have as much time to play a lot of these games anymore. So that mode, it appeals to me when they did that. I think I was playing it on the Switch, and I was like, no, I need to play it on easy. I played it a little bit, and I actually liked it, and I had fun with it. Games, people get different things out of games. Either you play for the challenge, you play for testing your own skills, or like me, you just want to play it for the story, just enjoy it and have a good time, pick it up and play for a little bit,
Right.
you know? But it's just it's just different with everything. And then especially with in a sense of MMOs did this too.
Oh yeah, MMOs have always been, let's nerf this, let's buff that. Same similar to fighting games. Um, it definitely alienated a lot of people as well because then they're like, oh, my favorite weapon or my favorite build all of a sudden isn't doing the damage that I like, or it's like, or some people enjoy like the changes, like, oh, hey, this useless paladin is now actually useful, stuff like that.
In the case of me, I used to play it. I am very, very long time ago. I absolutely loved this MMO called Star Wars Galaxy. It was probably one of the best MMOs to ever come out. It had you could just be a bounty hunter. Class swaps. It was just insane the amount of things you could do in this game, and I just absolutely fell in love with it as a kid. And I played with it, and it was fun. And right here, you could see somebody playing as a Jedi, and just it took so long to become a Jedi. I never did it. I couldn't do it. But you had to. People spent months trying to become Jedi's. And it was a thing of like, hey, this is skill. This took a lot of time. And you recognize that. And they were OP as fuck because it took so long to become one, which made sense, you know? And then they totally nerfed the game. And then you can start off as a Jedi. And everybody is like, what? Wow. Really? Really? Like, it took me so long to become a Jedi. And now you have just anybody becoming a Jedi. Just the classes in this game so great. It was so in depth. It was so detailed. The Star Wars lore was great. Like look at the you had all the force abilities. There was just so much you can do in it, as well as there was a live tracking thing for if you were a Jedi, you could be the most powerful, but they would be hunted by the Empire. And if they died forever. On paper, this was a challenging, exciting system, one designed to create extraordinary experiences. They're both for the player and becomes a Jedi or witnesses them, and you can hunt them. You can take bounties on Jedi. There was just so much you can do in that game. I absolutely loved this game. Yeah, no Jedi emerged in the system in early months. Uh, it was just insane. It was such a good game. But they nerfed it just because they wanted people to play it again. There's projects right now, projects SWG. They're trying to bring it back, which is cool. I hope you guys go check them out, support them. This is a I'll link these articles. It's an article from PC Gamer. It's an older article. There's a lot of people trying to bring it back because it was so good. But again, it's just when they try to make things too accessible, you end up alienating a lot of your core fan base. And it's just the people who spent so much time in these games crafting their, like, honing their skills, for you to just take it away and just like, everybody could do that now.
You know, accessible. Sometimes it's not even like a patch or anything specifically the developers do that make or break the game. Sometimes they just like offer it to like people like in exchange from like pay to win bonuses. Like now I can't name any games specifically on top of my mind, but I'm pretty sure there's a couple of MMOs that my friends have recently talked about where like, oh hey, like you can straight up like buy this specific mage set and you know just start doing damage right off the get go instead of like going through the game, progressing, and like getting these rare drops as you play the game. That's also kind of ridiculous.
Well, that's in the case of Diablo Immortal, where that was straight up pay to play, and people were just spending so much money on that. I remember seeing one streamer he spent like 10 or 20 grand trying to get everything. It was kind of ridiculous. But games like that with buy this exclusive item and you get a one up on everybody. It's just I don't understand it. Games shouldn't be played like that. In my personal opinion, I don't believe the pay to play.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
A lot of these games again are transitioning to a free uh a free game, but with all this pay to play stuff that helps those players get a one up on everybody. And again, that all ties into difficulty because what's the point of having a difficulty setting if I can just buy my way out of it? I remember cheat codes, the game sharks and everything. Yeah, if the game was too hard, I would just put that in there, like had the Game Boy cartridge one, and just cheat my way through, like invincibility, all of this.
Yeah, I also did that with Pokemon. I like the DS one. Would make like these really cheater teams and then use it against my friends. They're like, "Oh, how does your Pikachu know Hydro Pump?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. They just came like that." No, but obviously, as I grow older, I soon realize that stuff like that, especially when those games go online, right? It ruins the experience for a lot of people. That's why even in like traditional Pokemon tournaments, but like they have a system now where they can tell if like your Pokemon was tampered in any way from methods other that the game allowed. Uh, it's definitely something that should be enforced at all time because a lot of these tournaments they're playing for money and these cash prizes are big, so competitive integrity should be just as crucial. Um, in fighting games, there was a Akuma in Street Fighter 2. He was actually banned from a lot of tournaments at the time because he was just absolutely broken. Like poor choice of clip here, but like Akuma was just incredible. Like he had answers for everything. He shut down 90% of the cast like options. There's like very little you can do.
This is just him getting his ass kicked because it's funny.
These are pretty much bots, but yeah, like he was a real problem for years. And then back in the day, arcades didn't have patches, so they had no choice but to take matters into their own hands and ban characters that would ruin a perfectly good fighting game.
So yeah, local tournaments would just ban characters like that, you know? So that's kind of funny. But this is him getting his ass kicked, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
There was also in the case of Meta Knight in
Super Smash Brothers Brawl.
Super Smash Brothers Brawl. Like you were saying, he was really broken as well.
Um, not a clip that we need here. This is the new one. But Meta Knight.
This is Ultimate. Yeah, this is him then.
Yeah, so in this game he's like completely like fine. But in Super Smash Brothers Brawl, he pretty much had options to answer the entire cast. Everybody was playing him. Even people who didn't specifically play this character, they would have him like at least somewhat practice in order just to counterpick other Meta Knights because that was just the answer back then. Like, oh, how do we counter Meta Knight? Oh, we just also use Meta Knight because, well, why not? He's there. He's really easy. There's really no other reason why not to use him, and so people do that as well. And for years, the Smash community were also like wondering, oh, do we ban this character too? It's just like, because again, people are playing these games for money, and competitive integrity is challenged when you have a character like this where it shuts down 80% of the cast. This poor balance in general.
Yeah, I think this is a much, much better.
That's also from the new one.
This is.
Yeah,
It says Brawl.
it's not Brawl. Kazuya was not in Brawl. Yeah. Right now, for some reason, we can't find that specific clip, but just know that
There
this
you go.
character was
I
absolutely.
found it. I
There you go.
absolutely found it.
Okay,
Found it. So now you can talk to it more.
this character was ridiculously fast, had incredible damage output, could recover from any point in the stage. Even though he was a light character, it didn't matter. Like you wouldn't have a hard time recovering on stage at all. It was just super easy. Obviously, there's some skill involved for every character you play, but like if you were like even a decently decent player at this game, Meta Knight just have the answer for everything. Again, a character that shuts down a majority of the cast, especially this game. This game had like over 40 characters. But imagine 37 characters being absolutely useless because of this one character. It's poor
Oh,
balance.
he was this was pre-patched too. They couldn't patch this,
Yeah, this
right?
is a Wii game, so
It was a Wii game.
they hardly ever patch Wii.
They never patched the Wii.
Yeah.
So that was a game that was banned from, or that was a character that was banned from local tournaments as well. So it's just crazy when it comes all back around how difficulty impacts your. Where I would like to have a choice of the matter when I'm.
Absolutely.
And if it's, I went it like take Elden Ring for example. I went into Elden Ring. I'm terrible at those kind of games, and I've said fuck it. I'm just gonna play it as is. I had a good time with it. Never beat it though, because I never beat most of my games nowadays. But you just have to get adjusted to that difficulty. I'm not gonna complain and say it's too hard and say you need to cater to me and change all of these things for me. But I think Developers need to realize that when you make a game hard for a reason and it's known for being hard, why go back and change it?
Yeah, obviously there's gonna be some moments where like, oh, this specific move has a bug, and all of a sudden it one shots you. It's just like, okay, it's a bug, right?
It's a
So
bug. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that should be taken care of swiftly, okay? But when it comes to like your entire game, and all of a sudden your entire roster of boss characters are all doing less damage, and people are now finishing these bosses on the very first tries, it's like, all right, not everybody's an expert at this game, so clearly something is wrong here.
Or when you're just nerfing games like this, just while the game just came out and you're nerfing your weapons, you're nerfing everything that changes the gameplay so much. Where you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand it. Um, and I would just hope to see that developers don't nerf everything so fast, or they patch this to begin with. It's either it needs to be patched, or why'd you nerf it? That's the take on all of that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, patches at the end of the day are real nice. They're real convenient. They help a lot of games, especially developers, because a lot of developers nowadays don't debug as often as they should for time's sake. Everything has a deadline. But the fact that patches exist is nice, but developers also need to be aware that there's limits to what they need. Like Street Fighter doesn't patch their characters, but like the season is over.
Which is good for a fighting game. You need that because everybody's still trying to figure out all these characters. And I feel like Street Fighter 6 was pretty well balanced.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, you got your problem characters here and there, but you know, what game doesn't? So far, top eights have had a nice like variety of characters. Balance is definitely there, especially for a game that's been like been live for like the past 4 months. A pretty healthy spot, and of course for years to come as well, as the additions to characters like Aki and Sheet, and the more characters to come.
No, I think they were really good. I think they did a good job on it. Aki's kind of weird so far,
Aki's pretty
but
weird.
yeah, that's besides the point. I think again, closing this all out, I hope we get more of a choice in difficulties. I hope they don't just nerf things from the get go. I hope they don't just say, "Oh, well, one person said this was too hard. That means everybody thinks it's hard."
Yeah, no, that
But
is definitely just poor judgment calls here and here.
exactly. But just want to round up this episode this week. We're not doing any news in the beginning anymore. We're going to be releasing that as a separate video, as a recap for the week. So it might be a little bit more palatable to take in 10-minute. We're going to be doing a lot of different things here. But we're still going to close it out with what have we been watching, reading, listening to, and playing. So, Javi, kick us off right now.
Been
What you
listening
got this
to
week?
I just finished listening to the new Capra. It just came out Friday, and it was really
It's
nice,
good.
real nice. Definitely some nice improvement in that band. I'm hoping to catch them live this year with the Deftones. But that's still up in the air. Thank you, Scalpers. Love you.
Oh,
Um,
Diaz Los Deftones?
yeah, the old Deftones, yeah. And then Municipal Waste, they just reissued their first album
Oh, Waste
on
of
Nuclear
Mom.
Blast, and like I already had it on vinyl, but their cassette has some new artwork on it that I thought was real neat. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna pick it up. Municipal Waste, one of my favorite bands of all time, a band that I grew up listening to. They're basically my
Hey,
Metallica of thrash metal.
same here. I love Waste. I've seen them more than a few times. They're great.
Yeah. Then King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard. I think this is probably their second or third album that they released this year alone. It's really hard to keep up with these dudes.
How many albums did
I think this is like number 19, I think. And they're only a band that's been around for 10 years, by the way. But yeah, this is their second heavy metal album. They made a first one. The first one sounded a lot more thrashy. This one is definitely more of like a psychedelic doom sludge
Ooh,
sludge metal album, and it's real neat. This is
that
definitely
is
one of my
some
favorites.
badass artwork. Look at these goofy goofers right there.
And
That
then
is, all right, now I'm just like
real nice
having fun looking at this album.
for sure. As for what I've been watching, I just came back from a trip. Watched two Kings games over the week. Hockey. It hasn't been the start of the season yet, but it's nice, watching hockey. I love one of my favorite things
Oh
to
yeah,
watch.
I'm a huge hockey fan. Kings, we're big Kings fans.
Yeah, we didn't win both of them, but we won at least one of them.
Yeah.
It was nice. And then for shows, finally got around to watching Loki, and
We watched that last night.
it's okay. I feel like it's not hitting the same way the season one, and it's probably the new director to blame. But I just felt like something was missing. Something felt messy. Maybe that'll change because it's only one episode out.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, a lot of companies, the review embargo's lifted, so they got to watch the first 4 episodes, and not a lot of people have been liking it.
Yeah, I think
Definitely,
IGN even gave it a 5, but we're gonna watch it. I like to form my own opinions
yeah.
on things for sure.
I usually give shows in general the 4 episode rule, regardless.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. As for what I've been reading, uh, I think what I've been reading Hunter x Hunter. Now that it looks like the author for that, who has done Yu Yu Hakusho, in case you guys didn't know, uh, he's been getting sick pretty often, but now it looks like he's gonna start writing again. So I was like, oh, good time to catch up. So during the trip all the way to Utah, I was reading most of it. And so far it's really good. So I'm excited if it ever gets another anime adaptation. That'll be nice.
Nice.
As for what I've been playing on the trip as well, I finally continued Fire Emblem Engage, because that was just the game that I put on the fucking block for a bit, just because like Street Fighter was out and I really wanted to put some time into that. And I also put I'm in the Pikmin 4. I picked it up on day one, but had not played it. But now I'm finally making some progress. I feel like I'll be able to finish it next week. Pretty happy about it. It's been a good time.
Nice.
As for what else? I think that's it actually, right?
That was it.
That's it. How about you, buddy?
As for me, I will say I just want to shout out a classic album. I haven't listened to any new music this week. I've just been kind of keeping old school. Want to check out? Everybody needs to check out Bolt Thrower. Those once loyal. A great album. If you know anything about Bolt Thrower, just go check them out. Solid death metal.
Your favorite band.
As what I've been watching last weekend, I got to see a new horror movie called Where Evil Lurks. When Evil Lurks.
Oh,
Where
that
Evil
movie
Lurks.
festival you.
Yes. Beyond Fest. I went to Beyond Fest. I got to catch the premiere of that. It was a really good movie. I can't recommend it enough. For a horror movie, if you're a horror movie fan, I should have had a trailer pulled up here. Let's see if I can find that real quick. Elsewhere. There it is.
There it is.
But it was really good because it was just different, and it was cool because they had the whole entire well, they had some of the cast there, and then they had the director there and everything afterwards, and I can't just it was just a really good horror movie, just about demons and possession, and children died, which is kind of cool. The horror movies you don't see children die as much, and it's brutal, brutal. It's an Argentinian film, takes place in Argentina, and it's like the demon possession is an infection. I won't spoil it. It's just like that. It's just an infection. We'll figure it out. You can see it spreads. But yeah, I just thought it was really good. I had a really good time with it. There was a lot of like oh shit moments in it, and I think it's on Shutter now.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But yeah, after the movie, the director was there. The director did Terrified. So if that's a movie you've ever seen, he did this as well. Um, it was just that's a good scene right there. Oh man, it's it's a lot. Anyway, you all need to go watch this. This was such a good horror. And can't talk about it.
Yeah.
So there was just that's all I did was want to shout that album, shout out that show or that movie I got to see the premiere for, which was really awesome. I haven't been playing anything this week. It's been a busy week for me. Um, but that's all I can say for now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this and stuck around. And yeah, uh,
That's about it.
yeah, that's
Take care,
about it.
guys.
Take care. Thank you.